Warning: the following story contains descriptions of graphic violence. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're exploring the harrowing case of Daniel Joe Hittle, a man whose name became synonymous with terror in Minnesota. Hittle's violent streak started with the cold-blooded murder of his adopted parents after their dog scratched his truck. Despite being on parole for these murders, he showed no remorse and continued his spree in 1989. We'll delve into his chilling threat towards police officers and the unsettling remarks he made about killing not being a big deal. Join me as we uncover a dark and twisted path of Daniel Joe Hittle. This is the case of Daniel Joe Hittle. Daniel Joe Hittle was born on March 1st, 1950, in Perry County, Indiana, but was adopted at an early age by Henry and Margaret Hittle, a couple who later moved to a small farm in Motley, Minnesota. While not much is known about his upbringing, friends and acquaintances of Hittle described him as a quiet, polite man who would not stand being teased and became violent when drunk. His best friend from high school, Gary Wentworth, later revealed in a press interview that Hittle developed a festering hatred for his religious stepmother, as he considered her an overbearing and overly strict person, which is not aided by the fact that Hittle had developed an addiction to hard drugs. Behind closed doors, his ex-wives and girlfriends say that he was often physically and verbally abusive to both them and their children, and would often torture and kill stray animals. In one incident, one of his wives said that he shot a neighbor's dog for barking at him. In another case, he decided to kill the family dog since he thought it was killing other farm animals. To do so, he tied it to a tree, shot it with his shotgun, and then left the corpse tied to it. On April 4th, 1973, Hittle, angry that his adoptive parents' dog had supposedly scratched his truck, he started arguing with his stepmother, Margaret. During the scuffle, she allegedly said that he did not dare to shoot her, only for her and Hittle to retrieve his shotgun. While attempting to reach for his own firearm, Henry was also shot and killed on the spot. The incident was immediately reported to the police by alarmed neighbors, with authorities quickly arriving on the scene and arresting Hittle. His adoptive parents' bodies were found lying just inside the front door of the house. Hittle was subsequently charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, and a $15,000 bond was placed. He pleaded guilty to 2 counts of second-degree murder and received 2 concurrent 30-year sentences to be served at the Minnesota Correctional Facility, Stillwater. During Hittle's prison sentences in Minnesota, he was written up for a series of disciplinary violations, including possession of a knife, 2 instances of possession of contraband and drug paraphernalia, disobeying a direct order and interfering with a shakedown, possession of marijuana, interfering with a correctional officer, disorderly conduct, possession of contraband drugs and paraphernalia, again, refusing to comply with an order while already in segregation, inciting other inmates to riot, destruction of property while already in segregation, disobeying a direct order and being verbally abusive, again while already in segregation, arson, use of intoxicants, possession of drugs and or paraphernalia, again, and fighting with another inmate. In the same month as Hittle's trial was taking place, a bill proposed and sponsored by State Representative James E. Ulland was passed, in which mandated that convicts serving at least a 20-year sentence may be eligible for parole without needing to serve the minimum sentence, provided that they were model inmates. As he qualified for early release under the provisions of this bill, Hittle was paroled in 1984 and was allowed to move to Garland, Texas, where he was kept under surveillance by authorities. Hittle showed little or no remorse for his parents' deaths. Hittle told a friend that killing people was not that exciting or just not that big of a deal to him. The police officer who arrested Hittle for the murders of his parents recalled that Hittle had threatened him when he arrested Hittle several months earlier. Hittle said to him, quote, "I will remember you when we meet again," unquote. Hittle had threatened police officers on at least 2 other occasions as well. Hittle was abusive to his first wife. He pointed a loaded shotgun at her when she refused to turn over his car keys, and then struck her 1-year-old daughter in the face. Hittle once again gave the daughter a monkey doll, and then one day took it away from her and tied it over her playpen in a hangman's noose. On another occasion, Hittle beat his first wife after she became upset over Hittle informing her that he was unfaithful. Hittle brought her daughter in to watch the beating and told her to say goodbye to her mom. Then Hittle began choking his wife with so much force, she saw spots. Hittle was physically and emotionally abusive towards his second wife as well. The day of a wedding shower for them, he hit her when she didn't clean up the pieces of a mirror he broke. Hittle also once shot out her tire, and he kicked her in the stomach when she was pregnant and past her due date. Hittle slapped his second wife's baby daughter across the face when she wouldn't stop crying, and he failed to support the two of them financially. Instead, he spent his disability pension on alcohol. Hittle continued to habitually use drugs supplied by his drug dealer, 39-year-old Mary Goss. Hittle and Goss sometimes got into arguments over debts, and she had him arrested for slashing her tires. One day after an argument with his wife, he drove away from his home carrying a 20-gauge shotgun in his pickup truck. When Garland police officer Gerald Walker, 48, stopped Hittle for speeding, Hittle shot him in the chest at close range. Then he proceeded to Goss's home, kicked in the door, and opened fire, killing Goss, Richard Cook Jr., and Raymond Gregg. After reloading, he shot Goss's 4-year-old daughter, Christy Condon. Then he drove back home. Christy died in the hospital 2 days later. Hittle was on parole for killing his adopted parents at the time of these murders. Unbeknownst to Hittle, an off-duty firefighter who was at the traffic stop where Walker had been, had called for help using the officer's mobile radio. Hittle attempted to escape but crashed his truck and then started a gunfight with authorities, only to surrender when he ran out of ammunition. Upon inspecting the Goss house, authorities noticed that Condon was still alive and drove her to the Baylor University Medical Center. Despite surviving her initial injuries, the girl was soon declared brain dead. Her surviving family members agreed to have the life support system turned off and consented to her organs being donated for science. After being treated for minor injuries suffered during the shootout, Hittle was interned at the Garland City Jail on $250,000 bail, where he was charged with capital murder and 3 counts of attempted murder for the police-related shootings. After a several-month-long trial, Hittle was convicted by jury verdict on all counts in August 1990 and subsequently sentenced to death. Due to his death sentence, it was decided that he would not be tried for the other deaths. Throughout the proceedings, Hittle was noted for his carefree and seemingly happy demeanor, with some of the witnesses testifying that he had bragged about his parents' murders and had spoken of killing police officers in the past. Over the following years, Hittle unsuccessfully attempted to appeal his sentence to both the state and federal courts, only for his death sentence to be upheld at each venue. On January 10, 1994, his final appeal to the Supreme Court of the United States was denied, effectively cementing his death sentence. On December 6, 2000, Hittle was executed via lethal injection at the Huntsville unit. His last statement was, "Sant Ajib Singh, that's it," referencing the Indian guru Ajib Singh. His execution was attended by several witnesses, including Gerald Walker's widow and another police officer, with the former releasing a statement thanking the state of Texas for carrying out the procedure. For more content, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thank you.